Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're going to do a recap video on my 2023 Halloween window. I've been doing these recap videos on my 2021 and 2022 Halloween murals as well, which both were my first and my second window that I ever did, respectively, 2021 and 2022 Halloween. So those were when I was very beginner. This one, when I had done this one in 2023, I was a little more experienced. I had done both of those, but I also done holiday murals as well in 2022, which I'm going to do a video on soon. But I had, a bunch of practice at this point, and I had learned some things along the way and got to the point where, again, this was last year, there isn't really much to say as far as like what I did wrong, other than the same thing I've been saying in all these videos where I should have done a little bit more pre-planning, which, spoiler alert, I didn't do this year either. So I'm still not taking my own advice. But the good thing is, I've learned to do more on the fly stuff. I have a little more knowledge of what will work and what doesn't now than I did like my first mural, because I did mess up some things that way, my first mural. So, but there isn't much as far as like, especially a year out, like I don't see a whole lot wrong with it. There might be things wrong with it. I mean, there are little things I could point out, like it wasn't always like straight on all the lines and everything. But, overall the design, I don't really have much of a problem with it. So there isn't really much to say as far as like what I should learn from it or anything like that. But I'm going to do a quick recap of what I did. Now, the video I put out originally, which again will be linked, for last year's mural, I didn't do so great on the video part, like filming, and part of that was because I was rushed. So it wasn't really the same like full coverage that you got of the other ones that I had, my 2021 and my 2022. So I'm going to try to work on that this year when I do this one, do a little more tutorial based. Like this one was just kind of watching me do it, the 2023 one. So I'm going to try to go a little more in depth about the process and what I did, explain it a little better. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing for the recap. Then, after I'm done with that, I'm going to do kind of a comparison with 2021, 2022, show you like how much I've improved, how much I've learned, why the things I did in 2023 worked better, and they would have worked better in 2021, 2022 if I had done those, but I hadn't really got to the experience part of that or learned that yet. So like it's hindsight, I should have done that, but I haven't done it. So I'm going to show like why those things were better that I did 2023 versus 2021 and 2022 that I've already mentioned in my recaps, but we'll do a little bit of a comparison and kind of reiterate that point. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to give you a quick preview of what I plan on doing this year. I haven't started it yet. I don't have any concept art or anything like that. It's all kind of in my head, but I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do. And it kind of pulls together more the first and the third year, so 2021 and 2023 kind of together into like a more cohesive theme. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll explain more when we get there. But basically I've kind of taken the things that I wanted to do in other murals and combined them all to do this year. So hopefully I get them all done this year and not leave them out again. So we'll get to that when I get there. But let's get started on the recap then. All right, so before I start the video, I'm starting it kind of in the middle a bit. Earlier in this video, the original one, I did some kind of explanation of what my plan was for the mural, and the theme was Black Cat Manor. I was going to do a gate that said Black Cat Manor on it, and then I was going to do a building in the background. Now, the building I didn't do. I ended up not doing that, but I did the gate. And so this is me like setting up where I wanted the gate to be in the middle. I wanted it to be centered and everything. So that's basically what I'm doing at this point, and I'm going to let myself explain exactly what I did on the video, and then I'll add more if I want to in a minute. So let's watch. So I'm just setting up the guidelines right now. Just to kind of explain what I got here, let me back this up a little, maybe tilt it up a little. So I'm going to inch margin here for the top, and then I have 4 inches for the welcome to lettering. And then I didn't really measure this space, but I have a sort of in the center of horizontally of the window, I have a panel here that's going to go on the gate, and that is 9 inches by, what is that? 42, I think. So 9 inches by 42 for the panel where it's going to say Black Cat Manor. Now, I have another mark here for 8 inches in from the side, which this was 12 inches in. That's probably going to be where the end of the gate is. Like, this is just what's on the gate. And then the gate's going to obviously be ornate up here. And same thing on this side, there's an 8 mark here, which is where like the gate is going to stop. And that's all going to be on the outside, like I said. But then, and the gate will kind of go off this way as well, and it might extend into the side windows. I'm not sure what I'm doing there yet, but it's going to be like an iron gate. But anyway, and then like in the background, you're going to see like a house, but that's going to be all painted from here. So, and there'll be ghosts and stuff. But anyway, wanted to get these guidelines up today. I have something else I have to film, so I'm going to film that if I have time after I'm done filming. Okay, I don't think I see anything important there. What I was going to say is I forgot to say, when I said I had welcome to up on the top, I was originally planning on doing that, and I ended up not doing that. Now, also, my original plan last year was to do, I wanted to do kind of, and I still haven't done this, I wanted to do kind of a, like one of those retro postcards that say like greetings from this city or whatever, or welcome to this city. That was my original plan. I was trying to incorporate that into there, like do welcome to just above. Ended up not doing that, and I do still want to do that. In fact, I'm thinking of possibly doing that for my holiday window this year. Possibly. We'll see if that happens. It's one of my ideas. I haven't gotten to like the full what I want to do yet, but I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll find out though. Anyway, that was what I originally wanted to do, and I explained that earlier in the original video. That's what my original plan was. But I couldn't come up with a good like city, and then that's where Black Cat Manor kind of came from, and I was like, well, why don't I just do the Black Cat Manor, make the gate and the house. So that's where the idea came from. So that's where the welcome to was from. Now, I ended up just removing that because it wasn't going to work. So I ended up just not doing that at all. Because one of the reasons is the gate was so big that I didn't really have room for anything else. Like even the house, it was, like that's one of the reasons why I didn't do the house, was because the gate was so big and you couldn't even see the house. So there was no point in painting it. But also I didn't really have time to do it. So I'm like, never mind the house. So one of the things I'm going to do, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but 2024, I'm going to have a house as part of it. Because as I said earlier, there's things that I wanted to do with other murals that I didn't quite get. And some of those things I've fixed like year to year, but some of those things are still there. So one of the things was I wanted to do a house in the back of this one. So I'm going to be doing a house this year as kind of the focal point, maybe the focal point of the one I'm doing this year. So we'll talk about that when I get there. But I ended up not doing the house in this one. But right at that point in the filming, I thought I was still going to do it. So that's why I was mentioning it. Now, going to get to, this was the end of day 1 where I was just setting up guidelines. You're going to see in day 2 that I actually switched things already from, like in the beginning, I was already going to start to do some different things because, well, you'll see. Let's get to it. This is it for now. All right, I'm doing the mural again. See how far I get today. First of all, I wore this on purpose. Thought it would be appropriate. It also is warm out there enough where I can wear a t-shirt, probably, and be okay. Because it's going to be in the 70s later. It's probably like 60 something now. I'm not wearing my watch. But anyway, I am going to actually change this a little bit. No, I'm going to keep this the same, but I'm going to change the spacing, the lettering kind of spacing of that a little bit. But anyway, so I'm going to be making further guidelines in here for the lettering and up here for the lettering. And then I'm going to go outside and paint the lettering on. And then I think I'm going to come back in here and draw what I want the gate to look like and then I will paint it on the outside again. And, you know, paint all the lettering, the gate, and then we'll see about if I want to do more today. I'm hoping to get a lot done because it is warm, and it's supposed to rain tomorrow. Not that that really matters here because got that, so we'll see how much I get done. I did get kind of a later start than I thought. It's 10 o'clock, so we'll see, almost 10 o'clock. And I still don't know what I'm doing on the side yet. I'm trying to at least get this done, this first window here done, both the front and the back, hopefully, because I'm doing like a house in the back here. And then I'll figure out what I'm going to do on the side. I ended up not doing the house. I'm not sure yet. Figure that out along the way. And then I can always do those tomorrow or the day after. And I can do other stuff when I can't do this, because I have plenty to do. So, enough rambling. Let's get started. I'm making a border margin on here of 2 1/4, not 2 quarters, that would be half. 2 1/4. Same on this side. And then each of the letters is going to be 2 1/2. So, and I'm doing the thing that I changed, because I was originally going to do Black Cat and then Manor on the bottom. I'm doing it all in a row, which I might make them wavy or something. We'll see. I just need the spacing right now. So, also thinking of maybe just using tape instead of marking it. Lettering for black. Let's stop for a minute. So, for the lettering, I'm probably going to talk about this a bit, but I ended up doing a form of lettering that I never really did before. Never learned how to do that properly. I still haven't, technically. And I mentioned that I was going to be taking a course for, it's a very short course. It's not like a course that someone made for the black. Now, I still have access to that, but I haven't really gone through it because I haven't made the commitment to the time to do it. I need to do that. But what I did, so it's like black letter, kind of Gothic style, which is appropriate for Halloween, obviously. I did instead, so what I did to do the lettering, because I didn't really know how to do it exactly, I found a kind of font that I liked that was similar, and I used that as a reference to make my own letter forms on the window, but I was doing it backwards on the inside of the window so I could paint it the correct way on the outside. So I was using the reference of the font with Black Cat Manor, and then, writing the letters, drawing the letters backwards on the window from the reference of the font. So that's what I did. Now, again, what I could have done, and I prefer doing like the lettering myself, and I could have done that too, but I could have printed out, the font with Black Cat lettering, at that size, Black Cat Manor in the font on a piece of paper, and then, traced it, which is what I did. Happy Halloween, my 2021 mural, except, and that's the second option. I could have done the lettering myself and made it that size and then printed it out, which is what I would rather have done if I was going to trace. But I decided I'm not going to waste the printer, like the ink and the paper and the toner and whatnot. I'm just going to make my letters as I did in 2022. I'm going to make my reference letters on the inside backwards so that I can just trace on the outside, because it was quicker that way, honestly. Well, probably take about the same amount of time with printing it out and everything, but I wanted to do it this way. I wanted to learn how to do the lettering. I know I didn't learn properly, but I wanted to like learn the shapes of the letters so that I would know how to do that. So this is what I ended up doing. So yes, I did everything backwards with a Stabilo all pencil on the inside of the window so that I could paint it on the outside afterwards. So you're going to see that next. So for the lettering for Black Cat Manor, which is what I'm doing now. It's hard to see with the window, but I'm actually drawing all of those letters backwards on the inside of the window, so when I paint them on the outside, they'll be going the right way. If I had had more time with this I know it's hard to see too.
I would have sketched out the lettering first on a piece of paper, made myself a template of some sort, or a way to transfer my sketch lettering onto the window. You've seen me do this many times on the channel, but I was sort of going with the flow here, and unfortunately didn't get much prep work done and didn't have time. But considering that, I'm pretty happy with the results. Sometimes I surprise myself. But anyway, yes, I did do all this lettering backwards first, and I'm not really familiar with this type of lettering, so it was quite an experience. I am going to be, actually, I signed up to take someone's course for black letter type lettering, because I haven't really learned how to do that. So I'm pretty excited to start that. I just haven't done it for this mural. But considering that, I think I did pretty well.
Probably going to do some of that with this year's mural too, honestly. So maybe I should quickly take the course before I start, because it's not that long. I'll say also, somehow my measurements were off because the letters ended up coming a little bit too far that way, but it wasn't very obvious to the naked eye. But you see I had to take the tape off at the end there because my letter was going to go right into it, so it was a little off for some reason. I don't know, maybe I measured wrong. Like I said, it's hard for you to see. I think I have some pictures I can put in. It might look better. But then, so I traced on the outside the lettering that I did on the inside. Again, if I was confident in my black letter ability, I wouldn't necessarily have to do that. I would just put up guidelines and then just do my lettering, but I wasn't real confident in being able to do that on the fly, so that's why I did on the inside first, backwards. This is me figuring out the gate, how I wanted that to look. Finding the center. Making a little cat head in the center on the top. And kind of trying to visualize what I wanted on the ornate part of the top. And I'll show you in a minute how I made that symmetrical. Measuring out where the posts were going to be on the gate. Not the posts, but the, whatever you call those, the inside. the little posts.
And then I used tape to mark off the places where the bars of the gate and the fence were going to go. This seemed to work pretty well as keeping my paint pretty straight out in the outside when I started painting. For the upper part of the gate, that was kind of the more ornate part.
So here's the template I made.
I quickly sketched in what I wanted it to roughly look like.
And just flipped it over.
And then I made myself a template so I could make it symmetrical on both sides. This also worked really well. As I said, the weather was really nice this day. It eventually got into the 70s, and I had the other windows open in the house.
I don't know if I
the
need
day
to
that was
listen to this
rainy
necessarily, but
in
this
here,
is me
but
painting
where
the
I live
gate.
going on too, but out
If you want to hear that, go to the original video.
I think partially because not in my neighborhood in one way, but
Basically just tracing what I had on the
I guess
inside, on
there's
the
no reason
outside,
to-
so it made it real easy, but then I had to cut in the gray here around the lettering. Because otherwise I would have had to, let me stop. Otherwise I would have had to, if I painted the gate first, I wouldn't have been able to do the lettering on the inside because I wouldn't have been able to trace it on the outside because the gate would be there. So I would have had to do like where I had the lettering up if I wanted to trace something at all, like on a piece of paper, and then I would have to do a chalk transfer like I've said before, or charcoal transfer or whatever, where you do the backside in chalk or charcoal and then put it up where you need to and then transfer that chalk exactly where it needs to go. Then I might have been able to do it that way, but I decided to do it this way and then cut in the gray, which, I mean, it was fine. It was a little, nitpicky, but it worked out fine. Like the lettering's a little off and I could have done better there, but for not doing that before, I thought I did pretty well. And then it's just kind of details with the gate, painting that. And then, I don't know, is it the internet that's wrong right now? I'm not sure. Okay. Then I extended the gate eventually. I think that's the next thing I do after this. But just outlining. And then I moved all those tapes over to the side so I could continue them on. What I was doing, I'm extending the fence so I can use up that gray paint. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to... That's one of the reasons I extended the fence, was because I said I had all this gray paint that I mixed up, special for this. That was going to be like the color that I used, so I'm like, well, I might as well paint it now, because otherwise my paint's going to dry out. So that was one of the reasons I extended the fence. I should have anyway. I mean, it would look funny if I didn't, so I did that. So all the gray and whatever. But just kind of touch-ups here on the gray and the black. And I outlined some of the bars, but I think I finished most of that in the next day of painting. But I'm also kind of fine-tuning some of the paint because some of it went a little off. So that was a little bit not so great. Just cleaning up a couple things. I got rid of that up there, the welcome to. It's not going to work with where the gate is, and that's fine. It's not necessary. I don't have to put that there. I might, if I have room, like over here, I might do something welcome over here, but I'm not sure. Nope. Right now the plan is still have to outline out there. I'm going to let the gray dry a little more and then do it tomorrow or Thursday, next day. And then I'm just going to have kind of stuff in the sky flying around like bats, ghosts, witches, stuff like that. I ended up only doing a moon and kind of clouds in front of it. I don't have a whole lot of time and the two cats that I wanted to make. Year. Kind of rushed. This is actually a lot. It takes up a lot of space. I didn't get a lot done that day. But it was quicker because I used regular paint, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Otherwise, this house is just Black Cat Manor, which I guess is kind of what it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So, I'm going to finish taking the tape off. I'm done for today, I think. Also, the other thing I was going to say, you can't really see. In here, it looks like these don't come down all the way, and they don't. But from there, it's hard to see that. And the table's going to be there with the snacks and everything anyway, so I'm not really worried about that. I put them down a little bit, but I don't want to get too close to the seal because I don't want the acrylic paint getting on that. So, that's about it for today. For this. I have other things to do. Start taking the tape off, like I said, and then I'm going to get a final shot of what it looks like today. And then that will be it for today. I mean, in all honesty, I could have left it that way, and been done. There's Assistant Chaz. So this is me just quickly, like, I think this was literally the day of trick or treat, or it was the day before that I did this, like the morning of. Just quickly sketching the cats in there. They looked a little funky, but I'm not that great at drawing cats. So, oh yeah, I did do a few ghosts, didn't I? I put those in too. So, ghosts, moon, cats. And then you can see my husband going by in the mower, his mirror, trying to get the leaves up that day. And I was helping out too, so I kept interrupting myself to go help. Cat number 1, cat number 2. Just gonna show you real quick. And then just finish outlining the gate. Just, trying to make something of what I had. Doing that 3D stuff. Trying to make like hazy clouds over the moon. And then draw the faces on the cats. So that's pretty much it. I think that was, like, it was kind of, in a way, kind of simple and low effort that year. And I was rushed to get it done, so it worked out. But doing the paint for the gray really helped with that because, that was much faster. And obviously, if I would have done that all with a paint marker, that would have been awful. So that's kind of what I want to talk about next is, one of the things I said about 2021 and 2022 was I was relying too much on paint markers and not using regular paint. So I still did use some paint marker for part of this, like for the details, like the lines, and even making the cats, I did paint marker too. But doing something as large as the gate, like large coverage like that, and also being able to mix the right kind of color, where you can't really necessarily do that with paint markers. There's a kind of a way to do that, but not really. This was a way better choice. And like I said, there are times in 2021 and 2022 where I should have used regular paint rather than paint markers. That's like a big part of the comparison that I wanted to do. This was able to get done a lot quicker. I mean, it's less intense than the other 2 years. There's less things on the window actually. But I was able to get this done like real quick. Like I said, I probably spent, I didn't measure, but probably like 4 hours that first day of painting where I did the gate and everything. And that was like the bulk of it. And then like I spent probably an hour doing it, the rest of it that year too. And then, I did some setup the day before, but like I could have done that all in one day if I had it all together. No problem. But the other ones took like days and days to do. So this was a lot quicker. So using paint, if you're going to be making something very large, I've said this before, but obviously much better. And I've incorporated that. And I did do that. You'll see if you watch the videos, my 2022 holiday murals, I did some paint and some paint marker. And then 2023 holiday murals, I also did paint and paint marker as well, like a combination. So much like that was like the big improvement from 2021 22 that I always said in those videos too, like I should have used more paint rather than paint marker. So that's the main thing I wanted to go over, was that as far as comparison. Now also, just thinking design wise, like I'm better 2023, like I get better every year, realizing how things are going to look on like this big window and how many things I can do and what I need to get rid of because it's not going to work, And one of the big problems I had with 2021, if you go back and watch both the original video and my recap video, I said Like 2021 was just chaotic. Like there was just random stuff all over the place and there was no like theme. And now I've gotten to be more like thematic where there's something specific that's going on and everything fits in. Like it's not just like chaos, you know? So that's something I've done better as the years went on. And filling the whole window, making everything big enough, because that was part of my problem with 2021 as well. 2022, I did improve that, and there was a more cohesive theme there. The only issue with that is I could have used more paint rather than the paint markers that I used in there, and that would have went quicker, and it would have looked better in some cases, like the pumpkins on the bottom. So, like I said, improve. Always, like, I'm always, especially with specifically my Halloween ones, like what did I do last year? What can I improve this year? So, like I said, there isn't really a whole lot. Like I said, there was a little bit of like wiggly lines with the gate, but you know, that's hand-drawn art, basically. It's not made with a computer. Like, and I fixed some of it, but like, you know, I'm not that picky about it where it looks like, oh my God, that looks horrible. But that's something like I could have improved on. I could have, you know, tried to make those lines a little straighter. But, you know, basically that's the only thing I would say that's wrong with it. Other than maybe the cat's a little awkward too, but I'm not that great at drawing animals, like I said. Like I'm not an artist that way. I'm a lettering artist. And I'm a designer. I'm not really an art person. But I'm getting better with that. But so carrying forward into 2024, the same kind of things. Still, like I said before, every year I said like I should pre-plan more, like I should, like even with the Black Cat Manor lettering, like I could have sketched that out so I knew what it would look like ahead of time and then transferred it to the window where I did it more on the fly. And you know, the lettering does look a little weird. That's another part that's kind of could have improved a little bit. But again, it's hand drawn. Like it's not a font. I did it myself. That's kind of the point. But every year, like I said, I could have done more where I visualize it ahead of time, where I don't have to do so much on the fly. And again, like I said, I mean, I still have time, I suppose, to do a few things. But even this year, I'm still not really doing that. And that's also because I'm doing this for myself. Like if I'm doing it for another person, I like to plan it out more ahead of time. I like to verify with them, this is what it's going to look like. Do you like it? Rather than just doing it on the fly. But since it's my own house, like I tend to be kind of lazy in a way, I guess. I don't know. But that's something in general I could do to improve, and I still can do for this year. We'll see if I do it or not. But that's kind of it for the comparison. Like I said, it kind of, you know, every year I kind of build on every year. So this year, and I've kind of mentioned a little bit of this, so I try to take what I did last year or the years before and be like, okay, what did I want to do that I didn't get a chance to do? Can I do that this year? And move kind of into like just a better version every year, just a little bit better every year. And so I'm incorporating the house that I didn't do the year before that I talked about doing. So that's kind of be one of the main things of it. It's going to be on one of the sides. I think actually I'm going to do it on the side that has the light over it, not the dark side, which is the right side, because I want to be able to see that better. And I might put up lights too. I'm not sure, like I did in 2022. We'll see how that goes, because I didn't do that in 2023, but I did do it in 2022. I think I have white lights I can use, because I don't want to use the purple and orange with this. But I'll put up a picture that shows you what I'm talking about. But anyway, so I'm going to put a house like in the background, and that's going to be painted mostly on the inside, but I'm going to have the details on the outside. Then, so it's going to be like you're in, it doesn't necessarily have to be Black Cat Manor again, although it can be. But you're in like last year's Black Cat Manor, you were in front of the gate before, like you saw the other stuff, and I was going to make a house in the background and stuff. Now basically you're inside the gate. So you're going to be in the yard of the heart of the house. So again, it could be the same house, could be Black Cat Manor, just you're inside the gate now. But you're going to see now your view is something else I incorporated from 2021 that I started doing, but I didn't really execute very well, was I made gravestones. So I'm going to do that. Like, that's kind of like the main thing I wanted to do as the theme, was kind of like a graveyard. So it's going to be part of the yard of this house. For whatever reason, they have their own graveyard. Maybe all the black cats that have died. Well, there's going to be other things. But that's because I am a lettering artist. I want to do something lettering related, so that's why I wanted to do gravestone, but like kind of more of close up and exactly what they say. And I know a lot of people put that stuff in their yard, so it's kind of something I wanted to do. But another thing, I always try to do where I don't have a whole lot of like physical decor that I have to put out. I'd rather do a window. I do have some stuff. And I've thought about doing gravestones in the past, but then I don't want to store them. That's the problem. So I want to paint them on my window instead. So I'm going to be doing gravestones and the house in the background, and then the fence along the background. So it's like you're going to see the other side of the fence that goes from the house around. So again, you're inside the yard, and the front of the gate, like the Black Cat Manor part, if it's the same one, is actually like in front of the window now, and you're in the yard, like you don't see the gate. So it's kind of a continuation. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same house, but we're going to pretend it is. I guess that makes it a little bit more, because I wanted to do the house last year and I didn't get a chance to do it. So now I'm kind of continuing that this year, where I'm doing the house. So in my mind, it's the same one, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. But anyway, the house is going to be like in the background, maybe even on a hill. I'm going to have grass and stuff and the gravestones. And then I'm going to have, like, the cats are going to be there, the 2 cats again, my 2 cats. That's what they're supposed to be. And because, again, it's Black Cat Manor, doesn't necessarily have to be. And then I'll have, like, ghosts coming up, like, in the sky and stuff again. And then maybe, like, a zombie hand coming out of one of the graves and stuff like that. So there's going to be other stuff there. But it's going to be mainly, like, a graveyard of the yard of a house. That's kind of like what the theme is this year. So, and it's trying to incorporate the stuff that I either didn't do or I didn't quite do. Like the gravestones I did 2021, but you could barely see them and you couldn't see anything written on them. So now I want to do that better this year. So there isn't anything really from 2022 that there was things I missed from 22 and stuff that I still haven't done. Because one of those was the Happy Halloween. Over Halloween, I wanted to do like something 3D with the Happy where it was kind of like coming up above, and I ended up not doing that. And I don't think I can. We'll see. Maybe I can. Maybe in one of the gravestones, maybe I can do that. But maybe some other time I will incorporate that thing that I wanted to do originally and I couldn't. So I'm trying to like make up for the things that I wanted to do in previous years and this year. Now, I'll say also, I had a bunch of other ideas for this year that 2 of them specifically that I still want to do, but both of those were way more advanced than this year. So I thought doing this year would probably be better. Plus it especially with it being in my mind the same as Black Cat Manor, I should just continue that on to the next year. Like that's the logical step this year, and then I'll get to the other things I want to do in not previous, subsequent years, like future years. Like next year, I think I have the idea of what I want to do, unless I come up with something else that's kind of an intermediary between the 2. And I'll just say it's witch themed. So maybe next year I'm doing it, not this year, 2024, but 2025, I might do the witch theme thing I want to do. And then the really complicated thing I want to do, that's like expert level, that I knew I want to do this year, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to. That is what I don't want to give it away too much. I'll just say like there's full body, like Halloween typical characters, not like characters from movies, but like skeletons and zombies and things like that. Like full-bodied, doing something together, like as a party. Let's just put it that way. So that's kind of what my original plan was this year, that my lofty goals of what I wanted. But that's not going to happen for many reasons. If I did that one this year, even if I had the ability and the time, then it wouldn't make sense for me to do any of these other things, because that would be like you're regressing. Like, I need to build myself up to that. So that's going to be at least 2 years from now, if not more. We'll see if I come up with any other ideas. But this one I thought would be the logical step from last year to the next year. So this is the one I'm doing this year. I have ideas for other things for later years. I even had some that I didn't really explore that much, so maybe I'll have some, like I said, maybe I'll have some intermediaries in there before I get to the witches and before I get to the other one I mentioned. But that's my plan for this year. So I'm going to be starting on that soon, and you'll see, bits and pieces of it, and the video will come out pretty soon. So going to be starting on it next week. But that's all I really have to say. This wasn't really much of a recap because I don't have much to say, but I hope it's helpful and I hope you enjoyed it. So see you soon.